Every single thing you've ever read, whether it's a quick text message or a classic novel, it's all built from the exact same set of tools. So today, we're going to open up that toolbox. We're going to really look at the parts of speech, the absolute fundamental building blocks of the English language.
It's kind of wild when you stop and think about it, right? How can a handful of letters, just arranged into words, create these entire universes inside our heads? Well, the secret is knowing how to build, how to move from just a jumble of words into a powerful, solid idea.
And just like an architect has to understand the difference between steel and concrete, a writer, or really any communicator, needs to understand their materials. See, every single word has a specific job, a specific function, and getting a handle on that is the first step to building something that really lasts.
So let's start with the master blueprint. At the highest level, every word in the English language, and I mean every word, falls into one of two major families. And understanding this big picture distinction, it's the key to everything else.
Okay, so these two families are the open and the closed classes. Think of the open classes as your main building materials. The nouns and verbs that carry all the core meaning. We're adding to this pile all the time with new words like Googling or selfie. But then you've got the closed classes. These are the connectors, the mortar, the nails, the wiring. Their job is purely grammatical. And here's the catch. You can't just invent a new one. That membership is fixed.
All right, so every great structure has to start with a solid foundation. And in the architecture of language, that foundation is built with nouns. They're the essential substance of our sentences.
This is probably the classic definition we all learned in school, right? A noun is a naming word. It's the what in our world. Tom, Mars, an automobile, justice, they all give us something, whether it's concrete or abstract, to build our sentences around. And some of the most powerful nouns are the ones you can't actually touch. These are the abstract nouns. They're the big principles, the core concepts that our whole conceptual building is designed around. They're the ideas and qualities that drive us.
And from those big ideas, we get down to the physical world. Concrete nouns are anything you can perceive with your senses. So you can touch a desk, you can smell smoke, and you can hear a symphony, which makes symphony a concrete noun. These words give our sentences a real physical reality.
Now here's a really practical distinction. Can you put a number in front of it? Can you make it plural? You can have one chair or 3 chairs. That's countable. But you'd never say 1 furniture or 3 furnitures. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? That's because furniture refers to the whole concept. It's a subtle but really crucial difference that totally shapes how we structure our sentences. So we've laid the foundation with nouns, but right now it's just a static pile of bricks. To bring our building to life, we need energy, we need movement, we need action, we need verbs.
Verbs are the absolute engines of our sentences. They tell us what the noun is doing, like running or thinking, or they tell us what the noun is, like she is a doctor. They provide all the dynamism.
This is a huge question, because not all actions are created equal. Some are totally self-contained, but others, they need to transfer their energy to something else. And this leads to a major split in the world of action verbs.
Just think about this sentence. He is laughing. The action of laughing, it starts and it ends with he. It doesn't need an object to make sense. The sentence just feels complete. That's what we call an intransitive verb.
But what if I just say, I want? See how you're left hanging? There's this feeling of incompleteness, like the sentence is just dangling in the air.
Exactly. That's because the verb want needs to transfer its action onto an object to complete its meaning. It's a transitive verb, and it creates a question that just demands an answer.
And there it is. The beer receives the action of wanting. And now the sentence feels stable, it's complete, that transitive verb has finally found its object. So we have our foundation of nouns, and we've got the action of verbs. Now it's time for the interior design, the paint, the texture, all the details that give our building its character. This is the job of adjectives and adverbs.
The distinction here is actually pretty simple. Adjectives modify nouns. They tell you more about the thing. The girl isn't just a girl, she's a beautiful girl. Adverbs, on the other hand, usually modify verbs. They tell you how the action is done. He doesn't just sing, he sings beautifully. See the difference?
We've got the structure and the style down, but for this to be a functional building, we need the wiring, the pipes, all the systems that work behind the walls to make it all connect. These are the closed classes.
These are the humble, hard-working words of our language. Words like at, and, the, but. They don't have these rich dictionary meanings all by themselves, but they provide the essential grammatical glue. I mean, without prepositions, conjunctions, and determiners, our sentences would just collapse into a meaningless pile of nouns and verbs.
So why bother learning all these labels? Because when you understand the job of each word, you become a more intentional, more powerful communicator. You can build sentences that aren't just grammatically correct, but that are precise, effective, and crystal clear.
And really, this knowledge puts you in the driver's seat. You're no longer just using the language, you are consciously constructing with it. You're not just a resident living in the house of language, you are its architect.
So now you've got the blueprint. The only question left is, what are you going to build?